because I feel like you're pigeonholed here as Ultra Prime. This is the thing we talked about. What are you going to leave open? The Zeri, the Ahri, but Ultra Prime, not only that, regardless of what RNG pick, Ultra Prime have pigeonholed themselves. They have to try and pick up their AD carry here, otherwise they're going to lose so many options.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. How does he feel like something like Talia, which Cryin has been good on? It's a bit nerfed in this patch, but there's a lot of dashes from RNG so far. But again, I feel like if you leave your AD carry after here, it could be painful. Looks like it might go in the other direction and go with the Lissandra. It obviously is a good matchup into the Ahri. Good against the Zeri, because you have to put a click CC. And also hard for Way to ult you on that Vi. So I think it would make a lot of sense. I'd kind of take a note out of RNG's book with the draft if they do go in that direction.
Well, they've decided not to go for the AD carry and instead opting in for
They've just
Lissandra.
copied RNG's draft from game one.
I mean, look, it works so well for them. Let's see if they're able to rectify it. But now, Ultra Prime, you've got to try and probably ban away supports here. So I wouldn't mind seeing spins into, you know, taking away Ming's champion pool. And yeah, the Alistar. I love this. It's because even though no one else plays it, Ming plays it. And Ming plays hard engaged so damn well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they actually bans towards enchanters, because we've seen like Lulu, Zeri, we've seen Yuumi, Zeri. I don't think they're too ideal into a comp like this from Ultra Prime, though, because there's so much lockdown. But regardless, my question is what Ultra Prime will bring out as an AD carry. The first team that I remember seeing, well, the most significant one that we saw playing this Ahri Vi combo, this split, was EDG. And even though EDG actually fell behind in the game, we saw JJ consistently finding the ults. And it felt like every time he found an ult, it was onto an Ezreal. No matter how deep, no matter how far he went, Scout was always there in the Ahri. He was always there to follow up. And we kind of saw that in the clips at the start of the day when it was Ahri Nocturne from RNG, but it's a similar concept. Whatever AD carry you pick, I can guarantee you Way will be hunting and Xiaohu will be right behind. So Ultra Prime have to try and work out a solution to this and answer to the problem of how do you have an AD carry who's not going to die. And you know what? I think as far as it goes, Zaya's probably top of that list.
Yeah, Xayah, maybe Kaisa. I don't think so. Well, Zaya's probably the one that I'm looking at. Twitch wouldn't be too bad as well. We have seen a little bit of a resurgence of the Twitch as a pseudo counter, or a soft counter, shall we say, to the Zeri. But no, the Kaisa is going to be picked up here into Gala, who of course has got plenty of games in the champion, understands it exceptionally well. We saw the Set and Alistar banned away. Set is a support ban as well. That's something that Ming has played very, very well in the past. And again, gives you that hard engage. So Ultra Prime already limiting a lot of Ming's champion pool, but he's still got options.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, RNG already have a ton of engage in the mid jungle. So you can go with something defensive like this. I like the Braum into Kaisa. If Kaisa jumps in the AD carry, you can obviously put up that shield and block. And also, if you look at Ultra Prime's composition, they're heavily leaning into a dive composition. That's why they went for the Kaisa, because the Xayah maybe not as much on theme, not very good in the Zeri because she outranges you with the poke. So Ultra Prime are like, okay, we want to dive hard. RNG respond with the Braum, and then we'll look to see what they will get in this top lane pick. We have seen Firoa consistently, well, not consistently, a decent amount banned against specific top laners. Looks like Reed might bring it out for some of that side lane pressure.
Well, Firoa picked up here, so Ultra Prime have an opportunity to counter this one here, but it's going to give you some nice side lane pressure like you mentioned, and the pick potential is there. Renekton, we going old school right now. It's going to be a very much a skill-based matched up here between Breathe and Zoom.
Yes, Renekton actually got some buffs post-durability patch because he was struggling a decent amount.
To say the least.
Yeah, obviously with everyone being tanky, it made it a little bit harder. So I believe he got buffed on 12. It's either a hotfix on 12.10 or it was on 12.11. Got a little bit stronger. One thing they did change is they made his ult damage scale quite a bit better. It's actually really strong amount of AoE magic damage, and it does contribute to that sort of dive theme from them. The problem is you're going to get outscaled the side lane. Firoa just kind of outscales everything. One of the things with her kit is like when you are full build on Firoa, you know how her vitals do percentage HP true damage? It's kind of insane. You get to the point where she can do close to 100% of your health with 4 vitals. Like, you know, when your ult, it says, you know, Firoa will activate 4 vitals and dealing a total of, and I've seen full build Firoa, I'll say like 99.5% of the target's HP is true damage. And it's like, Jesus. That's a lot. That's a lot of true damage. So it kind of does just get to that point where you cannot do anything against Firoa in the side lane, where as long as she doesn't misplay, she will just beat you. Obviously, it feels like we've been leaning a lot more towards team fights with the current meta and the state of the game. But still that potential when it comes to team fighting. If you're fed enough Firoa, you can be a menace. I'll have to see how that pans out. I think Ultra Prime are doing a bit better in terms of the draft. but they are up against Zeri. That's like the big issue for me, is the Zeri.
Zeri is going to be the big issue here as we jump onto the Rift for game 2 of this best of 3. RNG absolutely smashing Ultra Prime in game 1. And if you're just joining us, we do have Fiora, Renekton in that top side. Renekton as well. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of memes about it. Last pick, Renekton. But it is Zoom's most picked champion in his career. Something that he is very, very... Oh, look at the respect. Look at it!
Wow.
It's so wholesome. It's so wholesome!
Yeah, I would always be so nervous in this situation in case like the enemy team is flanking round and this is a bait. But very respectful between the two.
Peace. White flag of peace. This is nice. You know what? Because no one's ever gonna die in this situation. No one's ever gonna lose summoners. I like this. You know, I like this. Just displaying a bit of wholesome fun.
We can talk a little bit about the Renekton Fiora matchup. Obviously, Renekton has a lot of that early pressure. The thing with the Fiora is if you can get like a short vital trade, that's what you ideally are looking for. So you just queue in, proc a vital, get out of range before Renekton can do anything. With Renekton, obviously, you want that all-in combo, right? You dash in, stun, Q, weave the autos as well to get the max damage, and then you can E out again. It really comes down to Breathe using his W well. If you can W to counter the stun, that can make all the difference. But it definitely should be Breathe a bit more on the defensive in the early levels. And looking just to scale into this one. Zoom trying to plenty apply that pressure. We'll see just how things pan out. One thing to note as well, level 1 from Renekton, not the best. You kind of want level 3 for that full combo. And Breathe happy just to proc grasp on him. Get up in your face, proc a vital just like so.
Well, no more niceties now in this top side. The respect has been given. But now we shall start to see the actual battle begin, and we'll see what they're able to kind of do. Like you mentioned, obviously, earlier before, once you hit that level 6 and start getting to a full build, Fiora, these vitals will start to get a bit hurt. And honestly, it does feel like Zoom is at the kind of mercy, really, of how Breed's playing this, because right now he is just owning this top side and actually zoning him off of XP.
Yeah, going rough. And I mean, that's the thing with the level 1 from the Fiora is you can just queue in, proc the vital, get the reset, the cooldown. And what can Zoom really do? You know, he's not even getting to touch the wave. He's not going to stack up his Fury. Very little to do in response. Doesn't even have the stun now. And something to note as well with the W, it's quite important in this matchup to deny the stun from Renekton and get your own stun. But even if you just hit someone with the W, it actually has a cripple on it. It slows their attack speed. Which, you know, Renekton doesn't seem like a champion that's that focused on attack speed, but it definitely does hinder your trades. And now, both targets are traded quite heavily. Zoom wants his level 3, so he has the stun, and they want to try and set up for a gank.
Yeah, but this wave is going to crash a little bit. Breathe is going to respect the fact that maybe he thinks that they're on the red buff, so one more second is going to be the movement here. They're not going to put down the stun just yet, but there's going to be a little bit of a trade. Zoom! He's just done it to a minion! They will still get the stun down. Breathe is sustaining up. You will get the dash and the flash. Hacker thinking about it. Hacker! Hacker! Okay, he'll get the kill, but he will still die. That was so close to being absolutely terrible.
That was still terrible. That was still terrible.
It was still terrible,
I cannot believe what I have just been forced to see with my eyes on this.
You can thank Dagda for that.
Oh my lord, man. I hope we get a replay. I want to see that again. We all know what happened. We all saw it the first time. I want to run it back. I want to see that again. I want to put myself through that pain. But yeah, Zoom misplaying. Let's get a replay. I wonder if they slow it down. I wonder if they slow down the moment. So he baits out quite well. Breathe knows it's quite hard to judge the W, but then Zoom, he was annoyed at that minion. He even throws the thumbs up. And then as a result of this play, because he doesn't stun Breathe, Hacker ends up having to dive the tower and trading his life. Yes, it's still first blood and assist. There's still more gold over the Ultra Prime. But you give a kill to this Fiora who's going to scale so well.
Yeah. Giving a lot of gold over, and honestly, with the wave state though was still in favor of Ultra Prime. Zoom was able to hold that wave underneath the tower before it was able to reset, so nicely done there by him. But obviously a lot of time given up by Hacker, meaning that this Vi on Wei will be able to try and maybe make some moves of our own. You can see already in the minion pit, or excuse me, the Baron pit, moving themselves around, trying to see if they can get some deep vision and try and spot out where Hacker will strike next.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, is if you can... You know, there's a decent amount of setup in the lanes for Ultra Prime. Like, you have the stun of Renekton. If you don't use it on a minion, you have the claw into root on the Lissandra, the Nautilus in the bot lane. So it's really easy for Hacker to find gank angles if the lane is set up and the CC can come through. Xiaohu just have cleanse though, so not going to be the easiest target in the mid lane. The Hacker just trying to offer some support. I think they're just going to try and crash the waves to Cryin and get a reset.
Yeah, crash the wave, let Cryin get out, but at the moment, not going to be done just yet, so not able to make it work. We will see ShiauC getting himself up to try and put some vision down around this Dragon buff, and actually might look to try and make something work in this mid lane. Xiaohu not quite in a position here to get himself away. Flash for flash. The dredge line lands. There's the cleanse, and you can get Wei right in front of him. ShiauC's so low, but Wei at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, good cover. So close to getting that kill back onto ShiauC. Has to walk away with his tail between his legs, but ultimately Wei and Xiaohu burning a lot of summoners. Flash from Wei, flash and cleanse from Xiaohu. I think Ultra Prime could be happy with that trade and just glad that they didn't end up losing their support. I mean, I'm going to say this. ShiauC died enough in game 1 for the entire series. He doesn't need any more depth on your scoreboard. Being real.
Well, Elk's now by himself, and ShiauC had to take a reset, so his wave's going to be crashed in, and Wei's on his way. Does not have access to the level 6 just yet, but they should maybe be able to go for it, but Gala was just a little late to try and make this one. This is a huge wave, though. And honestly, they may try and just make it work. Honestly, look, it was a little bit of a bait. They thought about going for Elk, but they said to go and get ShiauC's. That's going to be a very well-executed dive, and Elk is sadly going to have to let his support get sacrificed.
Yeah, and so obviously the ideal would have been you take out the AD carry to deny the farm, but it's the correct call from the side of RNG. ShiauC is more of a threat under tower because he's the one with the CC, and on top of that, he didn't have any summoners. You know, Elk with cleanse and flash, very good opportunity for them to turn around. So they take a clean dive, and now looking for more.
Oh, Cryin, he's going to get caught up by the concussive blows. The Smite comes in to give Wei a little bit of extra health. Cryin still trying to get away from this one, has to flash away. They caught Elk! You had the blast cone, and he flashes as well! The fight's not quite done, though, as Xiaohu jumping in on the ShiauC, who's got himself some concussive blows. Just as quick as he came back out onto the rift, he's back out onto the fountain. A flash in from Zoom means that he's able to trade one back. You're caught between towers right now, but it's the Zeri who's doing some decent damage. Cryin trying to go back in on the glacial path, and he'll do just that. Cryin doing very well in this fight. A flash and a cleanse available for Gala keeps him safe. It's all chaos. RNG do end up getting a better trade, though, because Fiora's getting free time on the top side.
Yeah, so Breed, the big beneficiary of this play, it ended up in the fight being Zoom diff, right? The fact that the Croc was there was the difference maker, was the reason RNG were able to follow through and get more kills, but such a cost on the top side. And yet Cryin just ended up massively overextended here. It ends up ulting Wei. I feel like maybe a self ult could have bought time for the team to get in, but clearly the call was to get out. And then it's Gala using the Q to proc the blast code onto Elk. That's one of the big things with Zeri, the fact that your Q counts as an auto is a skill shot. Very easy to fire out a blast cone from a distance and proc it. And then it's this moment, like this looks so RNG favored, but a Renekton at this point of the game gets in the mix. You have the ult down, doing that AoE damage, and RNG know they just have to back out. It's an unfortunate charm from Xiaohu, otherwise they maybe could have got another, well no, they certainly would have got another kill there. But yeah. RNG still happy though. I think they're still happy with the fact that Breed got everything in the kitchen sink, 3 plates taken top lane, and it was pretty even in the fight as well.
Yeah, pretty even fight. Bit unfortunate for Xiaohu. I actually think if he gets the charm on the Cryin, they get the kill, he gets a reset on the Spirit Rush, he doesn't die, which means you don't lose the flash and the cleanse off Gala. Lots of different things to talk about there. But RNG having used an awful lot in that last fight, now have to try and maybe make sure they don't get caught out here. Ming trying to see if he can clear out some vision, but this Rift Herald is the point of call. You don't have a lot of ultimates, but Zoom will have his very soon. Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be risky. I feel like, you know, if the reset's coming for Ultra Prime with this Lissandra, with this Viego, it can be so threatening. So RNG has to be really cautious about how they approach this one.
Oh, the Rift Herald has reset, so that's just going to be a little bit of more farm lost in mid lane here for Ultra Prime. They're fully committed. Winter's Bite will not land, neither will the Dredge line. 2 Qs missing. Breed scratches himself over the wall. The charm does land. It's onto the hacker. The hacker onto Viego. The jungler, the smite does get confirmed, but can they pick up the ultimate? That's the question. Ming does go down, but they've got themselves a trade of supports right now. Zoom trying to make this one work, but look at this Fiora. This Fiora is getting really big with a double kill, and now they can start to chase people down. Remember, all those flashes they burned. Double kill for Gala, and it's going to be a fight for the triple. Will it be Breed? Will it be Gala? It will be anyone at this point, and they're going to give it over to Breed. Triple kill over to RNG as they get themselves a full house.
And honestly, I was thinking that first initial kill, the fact, you know, Hacker, you'd think would be able to get the momentum of the resets, it just wasn't there. Gala free hitting consistently. Felt like Ultra Prime kind of got corralled into a group, and then RNG just able to clean up, sweep up those kills. Gonna replay to break it down a little bit. So Ultra Prime all stacked here, RNG taking this approach, and then they pump so much damage into the Braum, into his Unbreakable. We get the kill coming in return. It supports traded. Look how low Zoom is already because everyone was clumped. Gala doing that AoE cleave damage on the Zeri, and Breathe, you know, uncontested basically, just sliding into this fight and able to pick up so much gold for himself. I think RNG just postured better for that fight, and too much was burned onto the Braum. Too much invested to take down Ming, and then the resets didn't really do anything for them.
This game's starting to look a lot like last. This time around, though, you've got a Rift Herald in pocket here for Ultra Prime, so they're going to try and invest that gold onto Zoom. And honestly, that's the correct play. This Renekton is a win condition in that mid game. Get him up to that 2-item spike, but you are on a timer. Breathe is so far accelerated right now. 3 kills onto him. 4, actually, because he got the first one as well. And a dragon to boot. This means that RNG are not going to mind, honestly, getting rid of that gold because they have the gold to spare.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one saving grace for Ultra Prime is that they got the Herald, but with RNG securing the Dragon, obviously massive for them. Like, one of the things with having a Fiora is, like, the reason split pushes have just been a bit rough since Dragon Soul was introduced is because if the enemy team starts stacking dragons, you eventually have to fight. You can't just ignore it. But if you start to stack those early dragons, then RNG can start to be smart with their trades. They can say, okay, you know, we have 2 dragons, Ultra Prime have none. Let's sack a dragon, and then we're able to take, you know, a tier 2 top for Breathe, and it becomes more and more painful for Ultra Prime. So sure, Ultra Prime are keeping the gold lead close, but those dragons will become a concern later into the game if RNG can start to pick up more.
And already seeing plates being taken by Gala right now, and this is the Zeri. This is the 4-0-3 Zeri. We talked about how powerful this pick can be. We see Gala talking about how powerful this pick can be. Hit 1,500 assists, wants some more kills, and by God, he's doing both right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you're gonna line up the worst people on RNG to be fed from Ultra Prime's perspective, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to work it out, but I'll give you a clue, Oisin. They both have 4 kills. And you can see already, even at this point, we're in the mid game and Zoom is struggling up against Breathe. Oh, but Hacker is here. Hopefully Zoom doesn't stun a minion.
I mean, these are the vitals right now. It's a repeat, but this time around, Breathe has got the Gore Drinker to flash in, get the stun, but there's going to be a little bit of a stun back from the parlay. He will not land the stun onto a minion. A shutdown comes over. You would have loved if that went over to Zoom, but you'll take it on Hacker.
No, honestly, I feel like having it on the Viego has a lot of value here. And the fact is, it was nice from Zoom there, waiting out the W. It's kind of a game of chicken with the Fiora as to the riposte, and Breathe expected the stun to come in immediately after the stun from Hacker. Oh, but Hacker, I think he's just dead.
Yeah, Hacker has got nowhere to go. And this is the combination you talked about. You get the Vi ultimate into the charm. You're literally CC'd for about 3 seconds. What is the counterplay?
Limited counterplay, and this is particularly good against Viego, as obviously when you have a Viego composition, particularly one like this for Ultra Prime, where they have a ton of ability to kill a single target, and they want Hacker to get reset to find the momentum. If Hacker dies before the fight starts, it really hinders Ultra Prime's ability to team fight, and a lot of teams will try and pick the Viego. The fact that you have this Ahri Vi combo can make it so hard for Hacker to function. And, you know, we often see different builds coming out from Viegos, what they go towards the second item. Chempunk Chainsword has been popular because it gives you all that ability haste and AD. Hacker is like, I just need to be as tanky as possible. I need to try and find a way to survive that engage so that my team can turn it around, going towards the Randuins. So, yeah, definitely going to be hard for him. Speaking of someone who's not having a hard time this game is obviously Gala, we talked about before. Has that shield bow already. Going to be scary, this game.
Yeah, it is answered by Elk, who's got himself a Kraken Slayer, but definitely not the same kind of power spike that you'd be expecting. The Kraken Slayer is something you build for later on, as we can see. Maybe they're going for a little bit of a move here, but Renekton still got a lot of AoE alongside that Gore Drinker, so he's going to be able to clear the wave pretty damn instantaneously. You would love to have the Vault Breaker available here for Wei, should he want to try and go for something, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, and we see a minute 30 until the next dragon, about 50 seconds until the Herald. Be interested to see the team's priority for them. I personally think that Ultra Prime should be fighting every single objective they can, because I know they lost that last fight. That really came down to the execution. I feel Ultra Prime's comp needs to be winning these fights now. I think if they're waiting until late in the game, they're just going to end up losing out. You see Gala playing a dangerous game here, but so confident.
Yeah, he's got Ming coming down, and look at the map as well. You've got the Ahri and the Vi en route, basically. Chucking out ShiauC and establishing vision control. And honestly, this is going to be the tower taken because they know the hacker's on top side, so you can't defend this as Ultra Prime.
Yeah, and this actually is kind of bad for Ultra Prime because RNG are going to take this bot lane tower and probably give up the Herald on the top side. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they move up in time to contest it. But regardless, you know, if we're trading across the map, Ultra Prime are not happy with that. They want to fight and win, and now Cryin. Oh, he just dead.
Oh, he's dead. Again, we're seeing the combination this time around.
Oh. That's so unnecessary.
Popped. You're dead. Don't even bother trying to go for it. But he ends up losing his flash as well. Now you're 5v4.
This is so rough because I was saying, like, oh.
What? ShiauC, he wants to try and get on top of Xiaohu because he thought Elk was going to be able to do the damage. Ming just actually keeps himself alive. We do see them, though, rocketing onto the backside, but Elk's now in a terrible position. This Firoa and this Zeri, once again, shredding people. Two-man with the Q. Wei will give his life. They want to try and take down Zoom. They will eventually get him, but it's a little bit of an overextension there from RNG. They're having a bit of fun.
Yeah, RNG giving Ultra Prime a lot more than they deserved off the back of that play. I was going to say, you know, Ultra Prime want to be taking these fights, winning them, rather than just cross-mapping, want to be getting a lead, but they lose Cryin, so surely, you know, you just can't make the play. Cryin overextending, not sure if he'd used his claw, put it on cooldown, but he ends up getting charmed here. The follow-up is there, and then, you know, you're just dead here. I feel like you don't really need to burn anything. He goes down, and then, for some reason, Ultra Prime 4v5 decided to take this, and ShiauC makes a massive flub, going for a flash Q. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't a flash Q.
It was a Q flash. He just got the order slightly wrong. They do end up losing.
That's what you call it a Q flash. I call it something else, but maybe not say that on broadcast. Ultra Prime, it was a bad fight for them, and it was also a 4v5. No reason they should have taken it, and then RNG decided to tower dive and give them some gold back, but yeah. Ultra Prime, the game plan is not going in a direction, and between that missed W top, between that Q flash from ShiauC, it just feels like there's mechanical mistakes. It's like they're making the wrong decisions, they're not setting up the fights well, and they are also just making mechanical mistakes that really shouldn't be happening. It's just going, everything is going wrong for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, and again, look, yes, it's not a big, massive gold lead. It's only about 2,500, but that kind of a gold lead is huge for RNG, who have the Fiora, who have the Zeri, things that are going to scale exponentially throughout the last, you know, kind of like second, third item. Already has a Phantom Dancer, 505 Gala. Again and again, I'm saying it's just proving how good he is.
Yeah, Xiaohu has a Medjai's as well. Any book supporters will be happy with that one. So he's going to be snowballing effectively. Breathing Gala, you know, those two, as you said, will scale extremely well. And it's a Mountain Soul. You know, we talk about Ultra Prime's win con is to dive on the pivotal targets, blow them up, and get resets. Mountain Soul is possibly the worst dragon, and making that so much harder. If you're trying to kill Gala to get a reset for Hacker, for Cryin, then him having that extra shield is just going to make things so much more difficult, especially when you're down in gold, especially when you're behind. And yeah, Zeri, the big spike we normally look towards is 3 items. When you get the Infinity Edge, not only do your Qs start doing a ton of damage, but also your W, the crit modifier applies to it, and obviously always crits when you hit it through terrain, so it really starts to chunk at this point. And that's the problem, is that Ultra Prime, if you're posturing around an objective, you're just gonna get poked out by Gala. If he lands a couple of Ws, suddenly you can't fight anymore, and they need to be finding the engage. And sure, they have tools, but it becomes so much harder to find a good engage when you're behind, because you don't just need an okay or good engage, you need a fantastic one to make it work.
Yeah, they're gonna try and maybe work this on the breed, but even 3 members, you have to respect it. He has a full Ravenous Hydra. I don't think you can go for this, so that's just going to give a top tier 1 over to the side of RNG, because you committed so many reasons. You actually committed all 5 members to the bottom half of the map.
And this is the problem, is that I think this is probably the right call for Ultra Prime. It didn't work out, but you just can't match RNG right now, I feel. And if anyone missteps, if anyone oversteps, it's so easy for Wei and Xiaohu just to pull the trick and take them down. So it's in a rough spot. We have 2 minutes 35 until that next dragon. Personally, I think the way back in the game for Ultra Prime is be set up on that dragon, find like a great flank from Cryin or Zoom or something, get the team fight of your lives, and then get Baron off the back of that. I think that is the route back in this game. I think if they don't do that, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. And the other problem is you look at the summoners available to RNG, all summoners are going to be available at that dragon Gala's flash is the longest away, and that will be up. And it's so much harder. Like, when teams are behind and they aren't able to force summoners, going into a fight where Gala has cleanse, Xiaohu has cleanse, Wei's not a good target, Breathe has his W. Like, how is Cryin supposed to pin someone down who they want to take out?
Yeah, it's just getting harder and harder. And longer this game goes, the more CS, the more gold you are giving over to the Zeri, who's starting to get closer and closer to that Infinity Edge. And 200 off this one, it's going to keep getting bigger and better, or better for RNG, worse for Ultra Prime. And I just don't see a lane they can play through right now. Even with a 2-item spike onto Zoom, you're going to see Breathe going back, picking up another half item. He's going to just basically outscale this side lane.
Yeah, I feel like it's rough. So minute 20. I want to see wards set up now. I think TP flanks are the route that might be able to make a difference. That's the thing, is like a Renekton at this point, if like Renekton ends up on top of your Zeri and Zeri can't make space, that can actually be really difficult. Because as you said, he's going to fall off in the side lane, but still quite relevant in team fights if he can get in position. And that's the biggest issue with Renekton, is like he does not have like a fantastic way of getting onto the back line. He can be peeled quite well by things like a Braum. Oh, they're looking now.
They're going to go for it. Xiaohu is going to get caught up here by the ultimate, but he's not going to be stunned off just yet. Has a cleanse available to him, and you lose a flash off of Wei, a cleanse off of Xiaohu, but all it is for a tier 1. You're losing a tier 1, a tier 2 in mid and top.
Yeah. It's not going well, and they banned some summoners, which is nice. They're trying to make a play, but they're losing so much in return.
I mean, you could just keep walking backwards on this one. You gained 2 turrets, you lost 2 turrets. The TP is going to be used because they have to defend their inhibitor right now. And this is a bit scary here for Ultra Prime. They're making some very drastic moves, but they're not coming out on top of them.
TP now coming in.
There's only 4 people here, and you don't have a TP on Cryin, so if you can get a bit of CC down, it's going to be the worst thing in the world for Ultra Prime. And look at Zeri, the Gala flank of days. Hacker's going to try and deal with him, but I don't think he can. He's going to have to flash away, and now Zoom, your win condition of the mid-game Renekton is gone. So is the Nautilus. Cryin tries to flash in to make something work. Goes golden. Elk goes on the backside, finally kills off Xiaohu, but can he get away? I think the answer's got to be no. He does have a flash, he does have a cleanse. But this is all RNG. They're just taking over these fights right now. They're going to turn back, you'd imagine, for the dragon. Gala thought about it, but...
I think he flubbed the dash over the wall. I think he was going, but regardless, you know, still a big fight win for RNG. Ultra Prime try and make the trade play. They lose on the trade, and then they can get collapsed on the fight. And RNG pick up the 3rd dragon. I think Soul is just doomed, but, you know, we saw last game, RNG didn't even let it get there. And here, they have the reset come in. RNG know that this is go time, and the fact that they have a Vi, someone is definitely going down. They end up focusing onto Zoom. ShiauC tries to play interrupt, but it's just so many lives traded. Now makes the call to try and go in and make the trade play. Cryin does as well, but it just feels a bit desperate.
Yeah. Again, he does get Xiaohu. Nice little bit of gold over to Elk, and he does survive as well. So eventually he does end up falling down. But are we going to focus in on Gala missing out his thing? We are. God damn it. But soul point now for RNG. 4,000 gold leads. They've got 3 items on the Zeri. They even actually saw Xiaohu immediately selling his Magi Soul Stealer and going straight for a Rabadon's death cap. So he's a little behind in fairness to where he should be, but now with Baron on the cards, this could be an opportunity for RNG just to finish off this game. Oh no. Oh no. Cryin goes into stasis, so it's only his ultimate. He doesn't have access to his Zhonya's just at the moment, and Gala picks up another kill. They're going to continue their push forward as Gala picks up a 2nd. They've separated the fight, so there will not be a pentakill just now, but it's going to be Baron, and RNG are destroying in this series.
Yeah, I think the only thing is the Hacker does have ult to get over the walls, so RNG need to play around that, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. They can have someone play interrupt. Everyone has so much mobility to get over, and importantly enough, Wei's smite is down, but Xiaohu has one as well to help secure the objective. You can see Breathe is now playing interrupt. I mean, Hacker has to try and steal this.
They don't.
Probably doomed anyway.
Yeah, probably doomed anyway. We're going to see them go in for the full fight. Zoom trying to get it on top of Gala, but he gets taken out by Breathe, and now Gala's going to take out the rest of his team. Flash forward onto Hacker. He can't quite see him, so he can't quite get the concussive blows. The Baron will fall. That's going to be a very easy cleanup. 20 kills to 10, a 7,000 gold lead. Everything's in RNG's favor.
Yeah, I mean, the gold lead now. Gala's at the point where he's so strong, and you can see we're kind of coming to the point where RNG are like, you know, this is the game-ending play. Next fight will probably be a win for them with the Baron, with the fact that Dragon's up in 240. You'll see Gala's actually picked up a stopwatch, so he's going to be quite difficult to deal with as a result. Those punishments we were talking about are going to be harder. His cleanse is coming up and available again. He's super strong. Breathe is super strong. He's just picked up a death stance, 3.5 items. It's just not, it's looking over for Ultra Prime. And this was probably the last play to maybe get in if resets could come through. But RNG don't even let it go down to a flip for the Baron. They take the fight, they take out Zoom. Hacker is forced away, and Gala unfortunately doesn't find him. Could have actually stunned him in the stealth if he connected his Q, because obviously it's a skill shot. Yep. But regardless, they get the objective, they get what they want. And now the play comes into the bot side of the map. They push mid up, they have the stacked wave bot to take this tier 2. And the other issue is Dragon is spawning in 2 minutes for that soul. So it's very hard for Ultra Prime to contest vision on this area of the map. RNG are going to get everything they want and have the setup for the objective afterwards.
RNG looking so terrifying right now as Hacker tries to do something, but Breed is soup. He's got so much lifesteal, he's got so much damage mitigation, it's just not going to make it that big of a difference at all. And you can see right now, what are they going to try and do, trying to defend this turret? Ming will go in and will die. You need to kill the turret right now, boys. The boys on the backside of the turret will do that, but it's going to be the Viego the first to fall on the side of Ultra Prime. Now it's Zoom on the back line, just can't do anything about it. And as quickly as they get the Baron, it's as quickly as this game is going to be done. It's an ult from Elk, but it's only to delay the inevitable triple kill for Breathe, and it's going to be a very clean and easy 3-0 for the side of RNG.
Yep, I mean, they just completely annihilate them. They don't let it get to the Dragon once again. The pressure from the Soul was there, and Ultra Prime know if they leave it to that Dragon fight, not really going to go in their favor. They try to play, but unable to find it. And RNG, a pretty crushing series, a pretty clean series. I think definitely establishing the fact that middle-of-the-pack teams like Ultra Prime just are not a match for them.
Yeah, I think Ultra Prime just kind of got a very strict and stark reminder of where they should expect to see themselves. This is the MSI champions. These are guys who would be expecting to go to Worlds. And for the first time in honestly a very long time, it feels like RNG have taken the spring buff that they always have and slowly moved it into summer. This Breathe acquisition is working well for them. I think Gala is looking insane, and the meta seems to be even figured out by them. They know what they want to play.
Yeah, I will say that there is still some concerns because we've seen Xiaohu still leaning on these facilitators when other teams, other regions have picked up a bit more control mages. And Ming, when he's on enchanters, you know, it's kind of like they need Ming or Xiaohu to be that go button. I am a bit concerned if the meta does develop more and we are seeing more control mages, more enchanters bot lane. Could that be a concern? That's my main concern for them. But in terms of the team play for RNG, absolutely fantastic. In terms of the coordination, the setup fights, really good. And it's only really top teams. It's V5 who's been able to challenge them so far. But for the most part, I feel like when they get the champions they want, when they get the draft they want, they are so good at just establishing a lead and closing the game out. Very fantastic in the mid game. Yeah,
really, really are. And that's a good win there for RNG. Keeps them very much in the standings as such to kind of, you know, contest the rest of the teams. Of course, V5 still sitting 6-0, but a 4-1 start after your first 5 series is definitely not bad whatsoever. And for Ultra Prime, they kind of dropped down to 2-4. This is a team that, you know, the likes of Lyric and myself included was expecting that, you know, the names on this roster, the people that you see.
I specifically remember Lyric saying that he predicted they'd finish a split 8. That's right. They'd make it in a playoffs and win the first round. So just for anyone who's watching at home, he said this on the last hit. If you want to hold him to that, that was something he predicted. We'll see how that pans out. Not looking too promising at the moment. But you know, bear in mind, RNG are a fantastic team. I don't think you can slam them too hard. As much as there were definitely mistakes in this series from Ultra Prime, this was not an easy series for them to win.
No, it was not for Ultra Prime. It's a little bit unfortunate. They are going to fall down just a little bit too far short. The next game, though, is a massive one for them. And when you realize it's going up against anyone's legend, another playoff contender team, that actually could be pivotal to see how Ultra Prime end up ending the split, to be perfectly honest. And for RNG, they've got a big match coming up as well. They go up against a rematch of the finals, Top Esports, next Saturday. So that is a banger in the wait.
Yeah, that should be a good one. But just to see how it comes out, because that's the thing, is that Top Esports were this super strong early game team, and they won so many early games against RNG in the 2 series they played in playoffs, but then RNG would find a way back in the mid game. in the most recent series, Top Esports didn't even look like that. You know, they weren't even necessarily winning all the early games against Weibo, but they were able to close it out convincingly, come back in the mid game. So I feel like RNG Top Esports is going to be even more of a banger when we get it coming in. But yeah, Ultra Prime, I think this is something I always talk about. If you lose to RNG, it's not that big of a deal because RNG are going to beat most teams. What is painful is, as you said, playing against a team like AL who are close in the standings to you, because a win for them and a loss for you has much more impact in terms of shifting the standings, can give them a boost above you while also taking yourself down. So Ultra Prime obviously hoping to secure that one. And I think today there's a lot to take away from this. You know, as much as RNG a fantastic team and the expected outcome happened, there's a lot of things that Ultra Prime can shine up, can fix, whereas RNG just looked like it was business as usual. Another day in the office.
Yep, another day in the office for Ultra Prime. Oh, shit, Ultra Prime for RNG, but for Ultra Prime, I was going to say, is that they are now at 6 series, so they are starting, again, we're hitting the halfway point. This is where games start to matter. Obviously, all games matter. The more wins you can get early, you know, the better it is. Just look at our LNG and their inflated scoreline, but it is going to be about kind of picking up those wins as early as you possibly can, because we're starting to run out of split right now. Finishing week 4, we're starting week 5 now tomorrow. That's going to bring us, basically, we actually have a dark day next week. We're not going to have a broadcast on a Thursday. So we are starting to get less and less games. We're starting to get a much clearer picture of who's going to be contesting for playoffs, and even more so, who's going to be looking like favorites to go to Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. Is like we looked at spring, and it was so hard to deliberate who would be on top. Obviously, RNG went on secure and win MSI. But with summer, it's like, even if you don't get on top, making it to Worlds, so many times we've seen the team who isn't first seed necessarily end up winning out at Worlds or doing the best. I even think back to Suiting in 2020, ended up beating out their counterparts, beating out Top Esports. And as much as they didn't win the tournament, you know, anything can happen when you get to the World Championship, when there's a meta shift, when we get the collaboration of all the different regions to build essentially a new meta, even despite the changes. So making it to Worlds is the goal, right? Obviously, winning the split is the bonus. But every team at this point, it's like you have to not just get yourself in a position when you're in playoffs, but also you want to be in form heading towards there. You want to be able to match up against these other rosters in the league, because there are so many stacked rosters, I feel, at the moment. Like V5 look fantastic, and Rookie's going to be coming in soon. So, you know, going to be even better, you would think. Top Esports looking really on form. Their mid-game looks better. RNG or RNG. EDG, JDG, maybe a little bit more shaky, but still got very good score lines. It is hard pressed. I think the main thing for me is I think RNG, V5, Top Esports in my book are probably going to go to Worlds, but it's never a given. But then, like, I don't know who that 4th team is going to be. I feel like the 4th spots for Worlds is so up in the air.
Absolutely. And again, we think about last Worlds, where the last World spot went to LNG because they made their incredible gauntlet run through the playoffs. They got themselves the opportunity. Same with WE, but sadly for WE, they just couldn't win a game after anything there. But we are going to have our MVP from Game 2. It was Gala on the Zeri. Honestly, he deserved one between the 2 games, in my personal opinion, because the man was just everything he needed to be and more. 8-0 and 12. A perfect KDA for the man. And honestly, he just proved why you can't leave Zeri open. He said it in the interview, and he proved it on the Rift.
You know what's the craziest thing about this? This is Gala's first MVP, by the way. This is the problem with being on a team like RNG, is that you're just getting sniped for the MVPs. Gala gave him one. It's like, but I got a Penta and I still didn't get one. So I'm glad he finally got one in this game. Maybe MVP to Ultra Prime as well for giving him Zeri, because I feel like this champion is just so bonkers, but Gala's showing what he can do on the pick.
Yeah, it was MVP Hacker in Game 1 and MVP Coach drafting in Game 2 for Ultra Prime for RNG. But yeah, honestly, I'm, again, not the most cleanest of games, but that's kind of how RNG play it. They're not, that's how the LPL play it, to be perfectly honest. They're not, you know, sitting back waiting for things to happen or playing the quote-unquote high percentage play. They play you at when they feel like they can be stronger. They're looking to try and make opportunities just like this happen, where it's like, cool, even if we don't technically kill Cryin, it's still going to be favorable for us because he loses his ultimate. He loses position on the map. They have to reset. And that's why LPL, when they go to so many different international events, just throw such great games into the faces of like LCK and LEC, because it's like, well, you can't deal with this.
I will say one thing, just noticing from the replays, there was this play when they're going up towards top and Gala messed up the E, like thought he was in range to E over the wall and then E'd forwards. There was another one in that game as well. I kind of feel like this is sometimes the issue you have with champions that are so highly banned, is that you don't get a chance to play them. So
you don't get to practice them.
You know, a couple of moments where he flipped there, but obviously the general play was excellent. But yeah, I mean, that can really be a thing. It's kind of like people are so torn on like, we are always banning this champion. And if it hasn't been in the meta for a while, it can be like, oh, okay, we finally get this champion, we have to pick it, but maybe not as practice on it as other ones. But RNG showing they definitely know how to make the Zeri work there and close out the series in, as we said, dominant fashion.
Very convincing fashion. But we are coming to the end of our broadcast. If you're just joining us, unfortunately, we are just finishing up. But let's get you caught